tide, and you think love is to pray, but I'm sorry.
Picture this. It is a quiet Saturday morning in your kitchen. The coffee is brewing, the light is coming in soft through the window, and the radio is playing one of those songs you have heard 1,000 times. You hum along without even thinking. That song has been with you for decades. Maybe it played at your wedding. Maybe it was on the car stereo when you drove your kids to school. And then somebody on the radio says something that stops you mid-sip. The singer you have loved all these years did not actually write that song. Someone else did, a name you would never have guessed. That little moment of surprise is what today is all about, because the question is no longer just who sang it. The real question is who wrote it, who handed it over, and why the world remembers the wrong name. Now, I want to be straight with you. There is a lot of nonsense floating around about songwriting credits. Folks online will tell you every famous song was secretly written by somebody else, which is just not true. Most singers write plenty of their own material. But there is a real, honest tradition, going back generations, of one artist quietly handing a masterpiece to another. By the end of this video, you will know 12 of the most famous examples, the stories behind them, and you will never hear these songs the same way again. If you want a longer written companion to today's stories, with a few extras I could not squeeze in, it is sitting in the link in the description. It is our free guide, no strings attached. I will not bring it up again. Let us start with number 1. I Will Always Love You.
Memories.
For most folks, this is Whitney Houston, that soaring voice from the Bodyguard soundtrack in the early 90s. But the song was not hers. It was written and first recorded by Dolly Parton back in the early 1970s as a quiet, tender goodbye to her old business partner, Porter Wagoner.
But I know.
Dolly's original is gentle, almost a whisper. Whitney took the same words and turned them into one of the biggest selling singles of all time. Dolly has said many times that hearing Whitney's version brought her to tears. Two completely different songs, really, sharing the same heart.
We both know I'm not what you need.
Number 2, Nothing Compares to You.
Nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling.
You probably remember Sinéad O'Connor, the young Irish singer with the shaved head, that single tear rolling down her cheek in the music video. It became one of the defining songs of 1990. But that song was written by Prince. He had recorded it years earlier with a side project of his and tucked it away.
Flowers that you planted, baby, keep back young love.
Sinead made it the worldwide hit, and the two of them, by all accounts, did not exactly get along about it afterward. But the song itself, that ache, that longing, that came straight from Prince's pen. Number 3, Hound Dog.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never gonna rabbit and you ain't no friend.
Now, most folks hear this and think Elvis Presley, 1956, the king shaking up American television. But Hound Dog was written years earlier by a young songwriting team named Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, and it was first recorded by a powerful blues singer named Big Mama Thornton. Her version is rough, growling, full of attitude. Elvis heard a different cover of it in a Las Vegas lounge and made it his own. Two writers in their early 20s wrote a song that shaped the rest of the century.
But a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never gonna rabbit and you ain't no friend.
Number 4, Respect. Aretha Franklin owns this song. Nobody else could sing it the way she did, and nobody ever will. But Respect was written and first recorded by Otis Redding a couple of years before Aretha got hold of it.
Baby, you got all I'm asking for, a little respect when I come home.
Otis's version is a man pleading with his woman for a little respect when he comes home. Aretha flipped it around, added the spelling, added the sock it to me, and turned it into an anthem for women and for the civil rights movement. Otis himself, by some accounts, said she had stolen that song from him fair and square. Number 5, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
This one breaks people's hearts. The version most folks know is Jeff Buckley's, that soft, aching recording from the mid-1990s. Younger folks might know the one from the movie Shrek. But Hallelujah was written by Leonard Cohen, the Canadian poet and songwriter, and released on an album back in 1984 that the record company barely promoted.
I remember when I moved in you, yes, and I moved it up.
Cohen reportedly wrote dozens of verses for that song, drafts upon drafts, sitting in a hotel room in his underwear. The world ignored it at first. It took years and other singers before folks finally heard what he had made.
Composing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Number 6. Torn.
I saw a man brought to life. He was warm, he came.
You remember Natalie Imbruglia in the late 90s? That pixie haircut? That music video where she walks around an empty apartment? Huge song. But Torn was not written for her. It had been recorded by at least 2 other artists before her, including an American band called Edna Swap, who put it out a few years earlier. The songwriters were a small team of American writers, not Natalie herself. She gave it the voice the world finally noticed, but the song had already lived a couple of quiet lives before that.
This is how I feel. I'm cold and I am shamed, lying naked on the floor.
Number 7. I Love Rock and Roll. Joan Jett made this one famous in the early 1980s, and it became one of the great driving songs of that decade. But it was originally written and recorded by a British band called the Arrows back in the mid-1970s. Joan saw them perform it on television while she was touring in England, fell in love with it, and tried for years to convince her old bandmates to record it. They would not. So she did it herself, with her new band, and the rest is history.
Don't matter, it's here, 'cause it's all the same. So can I take you home?
Number 8. Killing Me Softly with his song.
In my bed with his fingers, singing my life with his words.
Most folks remember either Roberta Flack's velvety 1970s recording or the Fugees version from the 1990s with Lauryn Hill. Both gorgeous. But the song was written by a pair of American songwriters, Charles Fox and Norman Gimbel, and first recorded by a singer named Lori Lieberman.
And there he was, this young boy, a stranger to my...
Who has said the lyrics came from her own experience of sitting in a club listening to a young singer named Don McLean. A song about a song about a song, you might say.
Telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly.
Number 9. Tainted Love.
Away, I've got to get away from the pain you drive into.
For most of us, this is Soft Cell, that synthesizer thump from 1981, one of the defining sounds of new wave. But Tainted Love was written in the mid-1960s by a songwriter named Ed Cobb and first recorded by an American soul singer named Gloria Jones.
I feel I've got to run away, I've got to.
Her original is fast, brassy, full of horns. It was actually a flop when it came out. It became a hit on the Northern Soul circuit in England years later, and that is where Soft Cell found it, slowed it down, and made it haunting.
Pain you drive into the heart of me, the love we share.
Number 10. Without You.
You always smile, but in your eyes, your sorrow shows.
The big ballad most folks know is either Harry Nilsson's soaring version from the early 1970s or Mariah Carey's lush remake about 20 years later. But the song was written by 2 members of a British band called Bommy Badfinger, Pete Ham, and Tom Evans. Their original recording is good, but quieter, almost buried on their album. Nilsson heard it at a party, thought it was a Beatles song because Badfinger was on the Beatles label, and asked who wrote it. That question changed the song's life forever.
You always smile, but in your eyes, you're so sure.
Number 11, Hanging on the Telephone.
Get your calls and everything goes wrong. I wanna tell you something you're not alone. Don't leave me.
Blondie made this a hit in the late 1970s. Debbie Harry's clipped urgent vocals over that wall of guitar. But the song was written and first recorded by a short-lived American power pop band called The Nerves, just a couple of years earlier. The Nerves barely sold any records. They broke up. Blondie picked the song up, cranked it up, and turned it into a classic. The original is well worth a listen if you can find it.
If I don't get your calls and everything goes wrong, I want to tell you something you've known all along.
And before our last one, let me say this. If you have been enjoying these stories, the best thing you can do is subscribe and join our little community here on the channel. I read the comments, I answer what I can, and the questions folks send in often shape the next video. It costs you nothing, and it means the world to a small channel like this one. Number 12, Twist and Shout. The Beatles version from 1963 is the one stamped on everyone's memory. John Lennon shredding his voice on the last take of a long recording day. But Twist and Shout was written by Phil Medley and Burt Burns, a couple of American songwriters, and first recorded by a group called the Top Notes. Their version went nowhere. Then a group called the Isley Brothers cut it and had a real hit with it. And then the Beatles, 2 years later, took it to the moon. 3 versions, 3 completely different feels, one song. So there you have 12 of them. 12 songs that belong, in our memories, to one singer, but in the credits, to someone else entirely. And I think the reason it matters is this. A great song is a kind of inheritance. It gets passed from hand to hand, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, before it finds the voice the world will remember. There is no money in reminding folks of the quiet writer behind the famous voice, so most people never hear that part of the story. Now you have. This week, pick one of these songs and pull up the original version. Just one. This month, share one of these stories with a grandchild or a friend over coffee. I would love to hear down in the comments which one of these surprised you the most, and whether there is a song in your own life you only later learned was written by somebody else. Next time, I want to walk you through 12 famous songs whose lyrics mean something completely different from what we always thought. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you back here soon.